I've spent millions of dollars on credit cards, but over $1 million in just 1 year. That's why you're here. Get out of debt and use cards to your advantage. Now let's get into this video. Do you have a Shopify store? You should get the Shopify Credit Card. No, you shouldn't. Well, maybe not. There's a particular use case where it can be very useful, but it's not as juicy as you may think. And to get into the details, you really have to dive down on their site into the terms and conditions. First, let me explain the basics. We can compare it to all the other cards out there. There's no fees. There's no annual fee and no other fees. Now, here's what's interesting. There's no interest. A credit card with no interest? Okay, definitely jump on this. Maybe not. We'll talk about that in a moment and exactly what that means. There's a caveat. But first, let's talk about the rewards. When you look at their site, they're going to tell you it's a 3% reward card in what they call the top spending categories, and then 1% on everything else. This is pretty common. I prefer cashback cards that give you a specific amount in all categories. This particular card is one of those where you have to watch the spending categories, but it's good and bad. So you'll get 3% back on your top spending category. However, there are only 3 spending categories that they define for this card: marketing, fulfillment, and wholesale. And we'll get into each. Now, this is a card that is specific for business owners. So when they say spending categories of marketing, they actually define it as essentially online advertising through Google or Meta, which is, of course, Facebook, Twitter, and sites like that. And they have a specific list that you must use. If you use those, they'll consider it your marketing category. Then they have fulfillment. It's very straightforward. You have to use USPS, UPS, those types of services to ship to your customer. That's the fulfillment category. Then third, they say wholesale. Now you might think, great, I purchase things from certain companies, I resell it, whatever it may be. Nope. The wholesale is only if you get it from one particular company, and I'll tell you that in a bit. By the way, thank you for watching. Please subscribe so you don't miss future videos. And also, please hit the thumbs up button below the video if you enjoyed this video. It really helps the video spread and helps it to get to more people. Thank you. A little caveat here, you can only get 3% back on up to $100,000 in 1 year. So that's roughly spending $8,000, maybe $8,800, something like that per month for an entire year. You'll get the 3%. So for example, let's say that during the year you spent on Google advertising, let's say you spend $200,000. Now their limit for cashback is 100. So on the first 100 that you spent, you'll get the 3% back, which is $3,000. On the next 100, it goes to 1%. So anything over that 100, it goes to 1%. Just know that that's the caveat. Now, they're going to give you the 3% in the category where you spend the most money. Odds are it might be the advertising. It could potentially be the fulfillment. One of the things I do like about it is that the rewards are applied to your account every month. So whatever you've earned back, it's applied to your account on a monthly basis. You don't have to wait a year. Believe it or not, there are cards that do that. Now, let's talk about the wholesale category. There's a company called, I believe you pronounce it FAIRE, F-A-I-R-E. That's the third category. Anything you purchase from them. They essentially will sell products from all sorts of wholesalers to you. You can't use any other company to be in that third category, only them. Now, the downside is that this card only allows those 3 categories, and in each category, they're very specific with who you purchase from. So if it's advertising, like we said, it's just the Google, the Meta, the Twitter, those sorts of advertising sources. If it's fulfillment, it's USPS, it's UPS, I believe it's FedEx and some others. And then if it's wholesale, it's only that one company. That's the downside. Now, let's talk about a big bonus, and that is it is a no interest credit card, like we said before. What exactly does that mean? Well, it means that it's a paid in full card. There are cards like this out there where you have to pay the entire balance at the end of every month. Now, as a business owner, you may already do that. You don't want to pay interest, so every time you get your billing statement, you pay the full amount. You basically just use it as a way to extend out paying for things about 30 days or so, depending upon when you bought them, when you get your statement, and when it's due. Now, the paid in full, when you get the statement, you actually have another 25 days to pay it. Like most statements, there's that grace period. So they say you've got your 30-day billing period if you bought something at the very beginning, and you've got that 25-day grace period. 30 and 25 is 55 days. They actually call it a 56-day. So in a way, they're basically saying that as a business owner, you can use this card to purchase things, and you can extend it out, your payment, almost 2 months. Essentially like a line of credit, but it's not, because you do have to pay it. So let's use the scenario of advertising. You advertise at the beginning of the month. You get your statement, and then you have another 25 days. So essentially, you're able to wait almost 50 to 60 days to pay for that advertising. Now, that's not terrible, because a lot of times with a small business, managing money can be critical. That means, when does the money come in and when does the money go out? So if, for the example, the advertising, sometimes they'll say, we're going to charge you as soon as it hits $500, or we'll just charge you at the end of the month. It really depends. But if they're charging you when it hits that $500, you're going to have additional time to pay for it. So the advertising, if it got a sale immediately, potentially you got the revenue within a week or two. So maybe the first week or two that you spend $500, you turn around and you're able to generate sales, and that goes into your, let's say, Shopify store, and then it goes into your bank account. You might be able to advertise, get the sale, get the revenue in your account before you actually pay for the advertising. So in the first week or two of the month, you advertise, you get the sale, you ship the product, Shopify puts it in your bank account. Let's say that's a 4-week period of time. Your billing cycle ended. Now you have 25 days to pay it, and there's no interest. So you're able to then take the revenue that you got from the advertising and go ahead and pay the advertising bill. Now, that's a great scenario. If you can actually figure out the timing such that you can have the advertising, get the sale, get the money before you even pay for the advertising. That's a big bonus on this particular card, and that is the only reason I would suggest you use it. 1, you want to be a Shopify user. 2, unless you have crazy fulfillment costs, if you're advertising, you can use it in the advertising category, or you can use it in the fulfillment category, but pick one of those two. Know that the limit's 100,000 and just use it for that specific purpose. So you can get 3% back on your advertising. Now, that's a large amount. When you think about it, you spend $100,000 a year on advertising and you get $3,000 back. That's substantial. Divide that by 12 months and you're getting almost $300 a month back from the advertising that you're spending. Now, you can use this card outside of Shopify, and you can use it because it's a Visa card. But I don't see any reason to use this card other than either for your fulfillment or for your marketing if you have an online business and you're using Shopify, so that you can get that 3% back on advertising, and you can push off paying for the advertising a little longer than you may and not have to incur interest. Thanks for watching. I hope this has helped.